The app just says 2 words. Restricted hold. No amount, no explanation, just a red line where the payroll balance used to be. And it's Tuesday, which means 11 people are expecting deposits by end of day. I call the bank first, out of habit, because I assume it's a glitch. I've had glitches before, a flagged wire, a system update that logged everyone out for 6 hours. I sit on hold for 14 minutes with my ops manager Priya texting me updates from her end that mirror mine. Nothing, still nothing, hold music, sorry. We joke about it a little. The way you joke about things before you understand them. I tell her I'll drive over. The branch is 15 minutes from the office. I've been a client there for 8 years. Since I opened the firm's first account with $4,000 and a business license, I'd print it out twice because I didn't trust the first copy. I know the tellers by name. I know where the good pens are. My parents are already sitting at the manager's desk when I walk in. I want to say I was surprised. I wasn't, not really. There's a specific quiet your body remembers before your mind catches up, and I felt it the second I saw my mother's coat on the back of the chair. They're not agitated. That's the part that still sits strangely with me. My father has his reading glasses on, looking at something on the desk like he's reviewing a menu. My mother has her hands folded. They look like people who have already had this conversation with each other, multiple times, and arrived at peace with it before I ever got the chance to be part of it. There she is, my mother says, like I'm arriving late to something I was always invited to. The branch manager, David, gives me a look I can't fully read, somewhere between apology and relief that I've shown up to referee my own life. I don't sit down right away. What's going on? We were just explaining the situation, my father says. He's still not looking up from the desk. What situation? My mother answers instead, and her voice is so even, so devoid of urgency, that it takes me a second to register what she's actually saying. Your father and I have some obligations coming up. We didn't want to make it a whole conversation. We know how busy you get. She reaches over and pats my hand once, like closing a folder. Family first. She'll thank us later. She'll not. Like I'm not fully in the room, I want to say I felt fury in that moment. What I actually felt was something closer to arithmetic. A fast, silent recalculation of 8 years of paperwork. Every document I'd ever signed in this building. Every time my father had said, let me hold on to that for you, about something that turned out to matter. I thought about the loan I took out for the office lease. The one he co-signed because my credit was thin and he was proud to be asked. I thought about the folder of safekeeping documents in his study that I'd never once asked to see because why would I? He was my father. I didn't argue. That's the part I've turned over the most since. Not because I didn't have things to say, I had years of things to say, but because arguing in that chair, in that moment, would have made it a family disagreement instead of what it actually was. And I understood, with a clarity that surprised even me, that I needed it to stay the second thing. David, I said, who initiated the payroll change? He looked at me, then at the screen, like he was hoping the answer might be different this time. He clicked once. The system took a second to load. That particular hospital waiting room second where nothing about your face is doing anything, but everything underneath it is moving. He turned the monitor around. Payroll change. Flag it for review. Beneath it, a name. A signature that wasn't mine. On a form updating account access. Dated 6 days earlier. My father's handwriting. The same looping capital. He's had since before I was born. Nobody said anything for a moment. My mother's hand was still resting near mine on the desk, and I remember focusing on that, the stillness of it, more than on the screen. This request wasn't authorized by the account holder, David said carefully, to the desk rather than to any of us. The system flagged it automatically. I have to reverse it and file a note. I'm sorry. I do have to ask you both to step away from the desk for a moment. My father finally looked up. Not at me, at David, like this was a technical error he could still smooth over with the right tone. There's no need for procedure here. This is a family matter. It's an account matter, David said gently, but without give. I have to follow the process. That was it. That was the entire reversal. Not a scene, not a raised voice, just a system doing exactly what it was built to do. Indifferent to who was sitting in the chairs around it. My mother didn't speak again. My father gathered the folder he'd brought. The one I recognize now, my folder, copies of documents I didn't remember giving him. And he didn't look at me on the way out. I stayed another 20 minutes finishing the reversal paperwork with David, half listening to him explain safeguards I should have set up years ago, thanking him twice for something that felt too small to warrant thanking anyone for. Then I drove back to the office and told Priya it had been a system error after all. Resolved. Nothing to worry about. She believed me. There was no reason not to. I called payroll myself that afternoon and ran it manually, one deposit at a time, watching each one clear like a small, private confirmation that the thing was actually mine. My parents didn't call that night, or the next. When my mother finally did 3 weeks later, I let it go to voicemail. I still haven't listened to it. I know I will, eventually. Not because I've forgiven anything specific, but because avoiding a voicemail forever isn't really a decision. It's just a delay wearing the costume of one. I changed the account permissions the next morning. Two-factor authentication, a new signer list, a note in the file that only I can override. It took 11 minutes. It felt like nothing and everything at once. Not a victory in any way I could describe to someone else. Just a door that had been unlocked for years, finally closing the way it always should have.